I was reading the video comments and I saw what is actually a really good suggestion for a mini-talking the other day, so I'm going to jump on it. Goldenflower is a queen in the first arc of Warrior Cats, and in the second arc of Warrior Cats, although she does become an elder later. She is a mate to Tigerstar and a mother to Swiftpaw, Brambleclaw, and Tawnypelt. A mistake that you've probably seen me make a couple times is forgetting that Goldenflower is even alive in the second arc of Warrior Cats. This is because she does very little. She is still a queen. She's considered the oldest nursery queen as opposed to becoming an elder, which is kind of interesting. But despite being the main character's mother, she really only ever has, one meaningful conversation with him, ever. And that conversation is mostly just her telling him to calm down. Goldenflower is a dilute ginger cat, or a pale ginger cat, much like Sandstorm, and part of the reason that I tend to draw Tawnypelt as dilute. Well, okay, that and the fact that Tawnypelt is described as being pale ginger in the first, 2 or 3 appearances that she has. And also the fact that she's named Tawny, like the tawny, scrawny lion. Regardless, I like the idea that Tawny takes after her mother. I just feel like it lines up better with her overall plotline. Goldenflower is a character that captures a lot of fan imagination, largely because of how absent she is in the lives of her children compared to the other option, evil Tigerstar. When they're kittens, she is very, very protective of both of them. And this carries on to them being apprentices. But besides a kind of passive-aggressive conversation between Tawnypelt and Brambleclaw, we never really learn much about her adult relationship with the child that left. Tawnypelt leaves ThunderClan to be with her father, Evil Tigerstar, and Brambleclaw continues to seek companionship with that dead father and half-brother Hawkfrost out of a desire for kinship while she's still alive. This leaves a lot of people longing for a narrative where her kittens are more attached to her, or named after her, or a narrative where she was more involved in those children's lives. But while she has heavy involvement while they're young, it just isn't there in the new prophecy. The youngest that we ever see Goldenflower, and the only time that we see Goldenflower not as a queen, is in Bluestar's prophecy, and despite being beaten by the older Bluepaw, she is shown to be a pretty competent fighter, and when she gets a chip on her ear, she takes it in stride, although her mother is horrified. But aside from that one scene where she gets the ear chip and is proud of it, she's not really much more than a background character in Bluestar's prophecy. She doesn't have very many strong, unique qualities there. She's seemingly also initially close to Bluestar as a friend in the first arc, which would make sense with her just being a bit younger, but up until her second litter, she's just not super present on page. She has maybe one visible moment of companionship with Tigerstar where she backs him up about Cloudkit not being right for the clan. Despite this, after Bramblekit and Tawnykit are born, much like Brindleface before her, she takes in other kittens that are brought to her, even though they're not ThunderClan's kittens, Stormkit and Featherkit, and she briefly takes care of them alongside her own. She is evenly caring for all the kittens and seems to love all of the kittens. Although Fireheart notices that she looks exhausted. She's sad later when they're taken to RiverClan. If having 4 newborn kittens is exhausting to the point where it might have been a relief to take 2 of them away from Goldenflower, I can't imagine how Cinnamon Tail and ShadowClan is doing right now. Okay, I very nearly just went on a tangent about modern ShadowClan, so we're not going to do that, we're going to talk about Goldenflower. When Tigerclaw is kicked out of ThunderClan, he asks after members who might want to leave with him. Darkstripe, Longtail, Dustpelt, but no thought is paid to Goldenflower by anyone during the scene. We could say that this was Tigerclaw just knowing Goldenflower too well to ask her to come along, or thinking the children are too young to travel, or maybe he wrote her off after she took in Featherkit and Stormkit. Either way, nobody thinks about his kids or Goldenflower during this bit. In the first arc, the fathers of the kittens aren't really announced as the fathers of the kittens. For example, when Willowpelt has her kittens, I'm pretty sure that Fireheart just kind of looks over and notices that Whitestorm is the father. Likewise, when Fireheart first sees Bramblekit, he assumes correctly that the kittens must be Tigerstar's. He becomes uncomfortable to see him going forward, which is something that Goldenflower scolds him on, saying, "I'm afraid for them, Fireheart," she went on. "The clan will never forgive Tigerclaw, nor should they, but Bramblekit and Tawnykit have done nothing wrong, and I will not let them be punished because of Tigerclaw. I'm not going to tell them who their father was, just that he was a brave and powerful warrior." She seems intent on not letting her children know that their dad was Tigerclaw here, a traitor who attempted a coup. When Fireheart saves Bramblekit from a forest fire, the first thing that Goldenflower does is grab him by the scruff and shake him to punish him, although purring. One book later, though, Goldenflower and Fireheart have another conversation about Bramblekit and the way he looks at Bramblekit, which kind of plays out as if the first one didn't happen. Both conversations start with Goldenflower acknowledging that Fireheart's been looking at Bramblekit funny, but they play out differently. This time, Goldenflower has changed her mind about hiding Tigerstar from her kittens and wants Fireheart to talk to them about him, as they both respect and look up to Fireheart. She doesn't give him a date for this, but he definitely puts it off too long. She's increasingly defensive of her kittens throughout a dangerous path, and later tells Fireheart that she is still confident in telling the kittens nothing negative about Tigerstar. We don't see her in the wake of Darkstripe's attempted kidnapping of her children, although Fireheart imagines that she's frantic. Fireheart imagines some other feelings for her too, like displeasure that Fireheart makes her son Bramblepaw his apprentice. He takes a while to tell the kittens about Tigerstar like she wanted, but he does do it after they're apprenticed. When Swiftpaw is killed, we learn that Goldenflower was also his mother, and the current kittens that she has are designated specifically as half-siblings to him. That said, that's kind of where the connection between Goldenflower and Swiftpaw starts and ends. And despite their history and Goldenflower scolding him twice, she is a defender and supporter of Fireheart's as he takes over as clan leader. This surprises him specifically because I guess he was projecting more feelings onto Goldenflower. When Tawny Paw goes missing, Goldenflower is mentioned to be frantic off-screen and later accuses Fireheart of not caring about the well-being of her child. When meeting with Tawny Paw later, Fireheart immediately compares the look in her eyes to, quote, her formidable mother. But this is the last we see of Goldenflower in the first series. We don't get any thoughts about how she feels about Tawny Paw leaving for real, nor is she mentioned to participate in the final battle. At the start of the new prophecy a few years later, Goldenflower is mentioned to have become a full-time nursery queen as her senses weakened and made her a worse hunter. Her most prominent scene with Brambleclaw in the new prophecy is in Starlight, where Brambleclaw is being grumpy about his relationship with Squirrelflight and the other characters not having much enthusiasm for the new territory. "Cheer up," Goldenflower meowed. "Everything's going to be fine, I know it is." Brambleclaw slumped down beside her. He was too tired to pretend this was how he wanted the clan to arrive in their new home. "It wouldn't hurt for every cat to be a bit more enthusiastic," he complained. Goldenflower pressed her muzzle against his flank and let out an affectionate purr. "We're exhausted. What do you expect? Every cat knows how much we owe to you. If we'd stayed in the forest, we'd be dead by now. Instead, you brought us here. We're safe." "I know, but..." "So the journey's end isn't quite what you hoped for. Right now, I can't see that matters." She drew her tongue over his ears in a brisk lick. For a moment, Brambleclaw felt like a kid again and wished himself back in the nursery with Tawnypelt beside him and nothing more urgent to worry about than their next feed or whether it was warm enough to play outside. "Get some sleep," his mother told him, moving away and breaking the illusion. "Everything will look better in the morning." This is probably their most prominent interaction during the new prophecy. She retires in the back half of it and briefly becomes a companion for Longtail, but despite her son Brambleclaw being the lead character, she's actually largely absent from his overall narrative and story. Beyond this scene, there's a brief acknowledgement from Brambleclaw that his sister had it worse being separated from their mother, and then you can pretty much forget that she even was his mother in some of these books. And yeah, that's kind of weird considering how much of Brambleclaw's story is about struggles with his kin. Later, she shows up for a ceremony, gives him a mother's love life, normal stuff. And honestly, that's about it. She's super protective of her kittens, even through them being made apprentices, and possibly too protective. She goes out of her way to make sure both of them only know positive things about their father, sheltering them from any sort of negativity. She's also confrontational and confident. She's not simply Warrior Cat's queen. Her personality cannot be boiled down to Warrior Cat's queen, although we only ever know her as one. She dies sometime between Leafpool's wish and the started power of 3. We also get a hint of personality from 2007 Secrets of the Clan's Field Guide, where she narrates a few paragraphs about how it feels to be old, but seemingly can't help reminding the reader that she really could still beat you up if she wanted to, and is willing to give up her life fighting to defend the kittens at any moment. You might wonder, well, what about her relationship with Tigerstar? What about her relationship with Brambleclaw, with Tawnypaw? How did she feel when her mate was exiled from camp or tried to steal her kittens away? And, aside from her protective behavior for her later 2 children, the book really never gives us this stuff. We don't know what the Goldenflower-Tigerstar relationship was like. Tigerstar, additionally, despite having a book from his perspective that covers his exile during this time period, spares not one personal thought for Goldenflower. referring to her only as the mother of his kits and nothing more, as if she's the nanny that takes care of them. In Greystripe's vow, Goldenflower is an elder as opposed to a queen, probably due to the allegiances being copied from Firestar's quest, and Greystripe briefly unretires her from being an elder to kick BloodClan butt. She has fun. And this would be a really fun scene if it weren't for the fact that she's an older queen and not an elder in this time period. Being slightly undermined by a continuity error, not one that really bothers me that much, though. While the books don't say this, an article called Honoring the Mother Cats on the Warrior Cats website mentions she refused to give up hope that Tawny Paw would come home, and even as a grown Brambleclaw struggled with his ambitions, she stood strong by his side and offered her comfort and her love. Though her daughter left ThunderClan to find a new place to belong, no cat could accuse Goldenflower of failing her or failing her son. The first bit here is probably talking about that last scene she has in the first arc, where she's upset about Tawny Paw being missing, and she's upset that Fireheart might be implying that her kid took off. Likewise, the scene that I went over from the New Prophecy is probably what the second bit is referring to. I wouldn't exactly call her the number one on my list of Warrior Cats moms or anything, and I wouldn't exactly, accuse her, like these cats supposedly are not doing, of failing any of her children. That's not really what I'm contesting here. In fact, I don't think it was any fault of Goldenflower's that anything happened the way it did to either of these kids. I just think that the article is kind of overstating her involvement, especially with Brambleclaw, and, especially when we don't even see how she feels or how she thinks about Tawny Paw ever after we learn what Tawny Paw did. We don't know if these two cats ever spoke again. But the wording on the Tawny Paw part is a bit strange. I am really nebulous about the idea of considering website articles canon in any way, but I guess if an editor website article can be considered canon, Goldenflower was still waiting for Tawny Paw to come home in Dawn, and nobody told her that she left. Likewise, when it comes to supplemental information, Vicky has said multiple times on the subject of Tigerstar and Goldenflower that she doesn't think that Tigerstar loved her. Likewise, she's insisted that Sasha was the cat that Tigerstar felt something for in comparison. At one point, she also very specifically says that Tigerstar admired Goldenflower and believed that she would make a good mother, which makes the choice seem very calculated. While this is supplemental author-provided information and not necessarily canon to any book, although definitely more canon than a website article, alongside his calculating nature, it can add up to a picture where Goldenflower was chosen for her skills and traits as a warrior, someone who would have had strong, capable children, and not really someone he fell in love with. Goldenflower likewise has a canon litter before Tigerstar, consisting of Swiftpaw and the retconned-in, fake baby, Lynx Kit. We see what was speculated to be fake Lynx Kit, really early on, in the Warrior Cats graphic novel, where Swift Kit is now one of the kidnapped children, but it's actually Thorn Kit, as it matches him, but doesn't match our Warrior Cats family tree Lynx Kit. Where's Bright Kit, you may ask? I have no idea. When it comes to non-canon information, the family tree also makes Patchpelt Swiftpaw's dad. I don't have a single thought about this, aside from how it annoyingly also attaches Robinwing, Patchpelt's mate, to Fuzzypelt, which, what kind of shape does this love triangle make anyways? Okay, this is the picture painted by the Warrior Cats family tree. Fuzzypelt and Robinwing have Brindleface, Frostfur, Dustpelt, and Ravenpaw, okay? Robinwing and Patchpelt, noted to be lovey-dovey by Spotted Paw while Robinwing is in the nursery with Brindlekit and Frostkit, and the only one of these couples to be shown on screen, have Longtail. Brindleface and Frostfur are older than Longtail, and Longtail is older than Dustpelt and Ravenpaw. I'm not trying to shame the ThunderClan lifestyle or whatever's going on here, it just seems like it was poorly planned out behind the scenes. Fuzzypelt and Robinwing are both dead by the time the first series starts, and then Goldenflower has just had a litter with Patchpelt, who's been an elder for months. These three cats are responsible for half the clan. Should've split these up a little bit more, or put some other she-cat in there, or anything. There's still time to fix this. Most of it has never been on screen. This could be edited. The family tree could just be edited. On the website, nothing would change. Anyways, Goldenflower is a character that captures imagination because of who people want her to be, what people want to see in her, her relationship with Tigerstar, her relationship with her daughter after she leaves the clan. She is Brambleclaw's mother. She acts as Brambleclaw's mother in a slight, disconnected way. We don't see much of it, but we see it a little. But honestly, them having a kind, normal, and nothing relationship as mother and son is almost worse than if they had a troubled one. I would definitely like her to be a bigger presence in his life, regardless of what kind of presence she was. Her disconnected lack of presence while he's troubled over matters of family, his complete lack of object permanence for his mother in the narrative when she's not on screen, it just adds up to having nothing to say about her. White Wing is closer to her daughters, as adults, than Goldenflower is to her son. Obviously, as far as we know, to Brambleclaw she was a loving mother. Not really somebody he often confides in, and not really somebody he's especially close with, but a loving mother. Her role adjacent to Tigerclaw is really just as the mother of his children, and the book never tells us how she feels about him, beyond, well, I don't want my children to be associated with that guy. Reading between the lines really makes her feel like she wrote him off the second that things went wrong and didn't look back, which, to a character like her that seems to be largely tough otherwise, does seem accurate. That seems to be who she is, somebody who does not want to focus on the negative. Over the course of the book, she seems to take most everything, aside from maybe Kitty Pet Cloudkit, in a largely positive, passive manner, and only ever shows weakness while Tawny Paw is missing. In every other situation, even when accusing Fireheart of judging her child or comforting her moody adult son, there is something controlled about her. She has a dominant attitude when she talks to others, regardless of being a queen, being a mother, and that attitude and enthusiasm for battle otherwise might be what made her so ideal to Tigerclaw. Well, ideal when he was a loyal ThunderClan warrior, ideal to have a strong kitten with, ideal to assume a position of power alongside, a good first lady for a ThunderClan president. She is in control, she is confident, she is protective, and we have no idea how she feels about Tigerstar, no idea how she feels about Tawny Pelt, and a very tepid and normal relationship with Brambleclaw. Underutilized in some places and barely there, but still a strong presence in the first arc, and that's Goldenflower.